him, and the voice of reason, Jamie and Salvish. How are we guys doing tonight?
Doing well.
Doing good, doing good. Never, always debated, but never misguided.
That's always good to hear. Before we get started, as always, a big shout out to our good friends over at the Alkali Project for the intro and outro music on the show. They are doing great things over there. And one other little teaser before we get started to our listeners out there listening all around the world, be sure to stick around to the end of this show as we have a major announcement for the lap down. But we're going to get right into it. Some breaking news about 10-15 minutes ago. As we all know, the 2025 NASCAR season has sadly come to a close. And NASCAR held the awards banquet, or is holding the awards banquet right now out in Scottsdale, Arizona. And the NASCAR Most Popular Driver Award was just announced. And for the 8th year in a row, it is the number 9 Napa Chevrolet driver of Chase Elliott. Yeah.
To all who are shocked and will be applauding him, you can do so now.
Yep.
I am so shocked.
Yep. NASCAR put.
I have never been more shocked.
NASCAR put out a graphic a few days ago that showed the top 5 in voting, and one that really kind of caught me by surprise was Denny Hamlin being in the top 5 when he normally isn't in the top 5. And I honestly thought that Hamlin might have taken Elliott's crown this year. Ryan, what do you think about that?
I mean, I think a lot of people have kind of started adopting Denny Hamlin as kind of the guy because I mean, he's become kind of the face, obviously, for many reasons of the NASCAR lawsuit that's been ongoing. So people who are rooting for NASCAR to lose the lawsuit in court have obviously been flocking to rooting for Denny Hamlin down the stretch of the season, wanting him to win the championship and potentially, and force NASCAR into that awkward situation of handing a guy a trophy less than a month away from having to go to court with him. So, I think that is a big part as to why there was a major shift in the odds for Denny Hamlin from how he typically is compared to where he is. But ultimately, the Dale Jr. effect holds true. And the Dale Jr. effect continues to shine brightly there on Chase Elliott as Chase Elliott wins his 8th in a row. And literally, does anyone remember the last time a non-Elliott or Earnhardt won Most Popular Driver?
If I'm not mistaken, it had to have been late 1980s, early 1990s. Because I was talking about it with our good friend Brandon King, who's been on here a couple of times. I think it's literally been 30 plus years since someone not named Earnhardt or Elliott has won Most Popular Driver. Because you had Bill Elliott at some point in the 80s, early 90s. Then you had Dale Earnhardt, and then you had Dale Earnhardt Jr. for 16, 17 years in a row, and then after Earnhardt Jr. retired, it was Chase Elliott from there on out. JP, what do you think?
Well, first off, I'm happy for Chase Elliott. I really am. He, he's showing that you can be the most popular driver in the sport and the nicest guy in the sport. Earlier this year, Iowa Speedway comes to mind. I was at Iowa Speedway. He took the time on the way out to his race car to sign my hat. He could have, you know, walked right by me, but he chose not to. He literally stopped. He literally took the hat out of my hand and signed it. Matter of fact, him signing the hat is my screensaver on my phone.
That's awesome. Ryan, do you have that stat pulled up?
Yep. So if you want to go purely on the actual year, it would be 1990 because there was a 2-year stretch where Darrell Waltrip driving for Hendrick Motorsports was able to take that crown from Bill Elliott. But both before and after that 2-year stretch with Darrell Waltrip, it was Bill Elliott before and Bill Elliott after. But yeah, Bill Elliott took the crown in the 80s, starting in 1984. Ran with it for 5 years before losing it for 2 years to Waltrip. And then ever since then, it's been Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt Sr. in 01 for very obvious reasons. Then Bill Elliott in 02, and then Dale Earnhardt and Jr. and Chase Elliott since.
Yep. So, Jamie, I know Chase Elliott's your favorite driver. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, as the voice of reason, it comes with the territory that if you are a second generation driver and you're a second generation driver of a already previous love driver, you have already cemented yourself as going to be the the golden child, the silver spoon phenom to win the hearts of the public, unless you come out and you're just a real douche. Which we know that's not the case with Dale Jr. That's not the case with Chase Elliott.
That's a weird way
Um,
to say Joey Logano.
oh man. Oh, why do you gotta go there, Ryan? You had to totally
Am I
throw me off my
wrong?
groove there.
Am I wrong?
That's we can talk about, maybe that's something that we can talk about next week, Greg. We can talk about our top 5 biggest douches in all of NASCAR.
Well, that'll be on a later episode during the off season because
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not planning for anything until we get some results from this upcoming trial.
Facts.
But
Maybe we can do top 5 nicest and top 5 biggest jerks in the sport.
there you go. Yeah, definitely plan for an episode like that. But our good friend, the betting man Eli, has joined us. Eli, we are talking about just announced within the last few minutes. Chase Elliott has won the NASCAR Most Popular Driver Award for the 8th year in a row. What are your thoughts?
Congratulations. I'm not surprised about anything.
That was the most Eli / Kyle Busch answer I have ever heard.
I mean, there's nothing else to add on it. Jamie and Ryan used some big words there about fan bases and all of that. And, I'm going to keep it respectful, of course, towards all fan bases and, all that, I guess. No, I'm not surprised about anything. Chase Elliott has a outstanding fan base. And his fans are just absolute sweethearts to be around. And not surprised about anything.
I feel like there's some major sarcasm in there.
No, there's no sarcasm whatsoever. You have no choice but to raise a 1 for the 9.
All right. Well, we have a little bit more breaking news. NASCAR just announced the Most Popular Driver Award for the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. For the Xfinity Series, it is Junior Motorsports driver Justin Allgaier.
Shock and surprise.
And for the trucks, it is Spire Motorsports driver Rajah Caruth.
Shock and surprise. I could have called all 3 of those. I probably could have told you all 3 of those back at Daytona in February. I probably could have told you all 3 of those and gone 3 for 3.
Right. Anybody got any thoughts on that before we move on?
I would say that I am actually kind of surprised that Allgaier was able to retain it, just with all of the momentum and all of the talk surrounding Connor Zilic, and especially since he had also came into Cup for a race or two and also did pretty well that way. I am kind of surprised that that momentum did not trickle over to the voting, especially after the year that he had as well.
I would like to remind you, though, that Justin Allgaier also made the first start this year for Junior Motorsports' Cup Series program. So,
Okay,
I
yeah,
mean,
you got me there.
I
Got
mean,
me
are
there,
we?
but
if
Go
you
ahead,
want
Eli.
no reason
I
to
mean,
compete there.
does nobody remember back in February all the Travelers whiskey 40 stuff? I mean,
That's what I just said. Yep.
I mean, it's just I could have told you it was going to be a junior driver for the Xfinity Series. Rajah doesn't really surprise me that much, but I think he's a good guy for the Xfinity Series race. Every time I'm at the track on Saturday, I'm walking around and see a bunch of people with eights tattooed to their arm, and it's not even the good eight either. It's not even the correct eight. It's that stupid eight back from whenever that era was. I don't know why they still have it there. So no, that doesn't shock me a bit.
And talking about the Hutch Strickland days back in the '90s or
No,
the
the one that 1-8 where that one driver drove that one car and did absolutely nothing and was abysmal everywhere else except super speedways. Great guy. Great guy. I love Junior. He's a great guy.
Hey, all right, you're talking to a lifelong Dale Jr. fan here, so be
Junior's a
careful.
great guy. I mean, I love Junior. I've actually met Junior. I've shook his hand. He's a great guy. From what I can tell, I mean, obviously don't know him personally, but his fan base is a little bit. They're all sweethearts. I'll just leave it at that.
I would like to call myself one of the more rational Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans out there, but I'll leave it at that. I will
I,
say, like everybody said, I'm not really shocked and surprised that Justin Allgaier won most popular driver. I kind of figured it was going to be a junior motorsports driver, but I am honestly kind of surprised about Rajah Caruth winning the trucks because, like it was pointed out just a minute ago, you had Connor Zilic winning 10 races for Junior Motorsports, but he didn't necessarily win most popular driver. Rajah Caruth, or not, Corey Heim won 12 races in the trucks. And I mean, maybe it's because he's a Toyota driver. I don't know.
Big bad Toyota.
Yeah. But we are going to move on to our recap segment. That is all the off-track news that I have tonight as of right now. It was championship weekend out in Phoenix, and hopefully is the last time we will see the one race winner take all championship format. We are going to start with Friday night's Truck Series race at Phoenix International Raceway, and I'm going to turn the reins over to Ryan for our recap on that race.
Yeah, so when it comes to the Truck Series race, I think everybody coming in knew that 11 wins on the season, car number 11 was the rightful champion by almost every metric you could find, especially when you compare him to the other three. I mean, we talked about it last week in the preview. Almost any statistic you find, you could add up the other three championship contenders and they wouldn't equal what they would barely hold a candle to what Corey Heim had done. So I think everybody knew what needed to be done, and then Corey Heim throughout stages 1 and 2 was able to dominate the race, and ultimately we end up with a late race caution that will definitely not become a theme as we get later into this recap. That ended up putting Corey Heim, who put on 4 fresh tires, back into the 10th position for the 2-lap overtime restart, leading to what will absolutely be heralded as an incredible move, but absolutely should not have had to have been made with the 7 wide pass for the lead and the championship, with Corey Heim making that move all the way down to the bottom. Again, 7 trucks wide. It's incredible. Corey Heim should never have been put in that situation to have to make that move. at that point. I mean, he had controlled, dominated, decimated the entire Truck Series season. I mean, there was just nobody else was even close to him. And I think, honestly, the closest driver to him didn't even make the Final Four in Lane Riggs. So ultimately, though, Corey Heim was able to sweep the stages. As I said, Ty Majeski in hot pursuit comes home in the second position. Caden Honeycutt comes home third, and Lane Riggs for the fourth spot in the owners' championship, right there with them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Unfortunately, Truck Series championship contender Tyler Ankrum did not have such a good performance in overtime as he finished all the way back in 14th position. So that was pretty much the Truck Series race. Again, everybody knew coming in that Heim was the rightful champion, and I think we were all breathing a big sigh of relief at the end of overtime when the dust settled and Corey Heim was crowned your 2025 Truck Series champion.
Yep. Now I'm gonna go back to what you said just a second ago, real quick. You said that Corey Heim should have never been put in that position. I agree on that 100%. But had he not made that, that was like the move of the decade, if not the last 20 or 30 years, honestly. Had he not made that move, he would have been involved in that big wreck that happened right after he made that move, and it would have ended his championship hopes, and we would have been a lot more outraged than what we are right now.
Just give it about 5 minutes, and I guarantee we'll be right back to outrage.
Yep. Does anybody have any thoughts on the truck race from Friday night before we move on?
Yeah, I've got a quick one here just because I didn't watch the race. I'll make it quick because I gotta go run to the bathroom real quick. Anyway, make a quick pit stop there. I didn't watch the race. I took a big nap come Friday, but I did catch one of the highlights there on the YouTube Shorts, Reels, the YouTube TikTok. I don't know, whatever it's called. But my question is, congrats, Corey Haim, by the way. You deserved it. I want to know how you make that 7 wide move work because anytime I do that junk on iRacing, it's you've got some damage, bring it back to the pitch driver, and I'm pressing escape. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but that crap worked. Every time I try that junk, it don't work. Like
Well, you see, there's
I'm
a
just done.
difference. Those are 7 of the most talented race car drivers on the planet, and you are you.
I mean, I'm him. Okay. I mean, there's nobody else sitting in this podcast room that is me. I am him, but I'm not that version of him. So congrats, Corey Haim. That's impressive. I guess I need to practice that move.
Well, I was gonna say the difference is you try it on iRacing, that's a simulator, and Corey Haim did it in real life, and real life is a lot different than a simulator.
Corey Heim also got paid many more millions than Eli probably did.
Yeah.
Hit me up, Tracon.
Anybody else?
I started to say something.
All right.
You know, Corey Haim, I said it last week and I'll say it again. What, you know, why does he not have a ride for next year? Someone tell me that, because he earned it in my eyes with that 7 wide move, and I'm hoping that kid gets the ride next year. And I do know that there's talk of him going more cup racing, but honestly, I think he should be able to kind of
defend his title.
Kind of be able to NASCAR should look at something where the champion uh, can have a chance to um, uh, defend its title on behalf of NASCAR. I know it takes money to run these teams, but by golly, I feel for him now because he doesn't have a full-time ride in any of the top series to even see if he can carry the momentum from this year in the Cup Series, uh, or Xfinity, or for Diamond Cup.
Yeah, and I mean that's something we talked about last week, where there really aren't many, if any, Toyota rides left available at this point in the season. I mean, I think the only Toyota ride that might be available would be this second Hallmark Friesen Racing truck that was just announced. I believe like the day of or the day before the truck race. And initially, when I heard that, I was initially thinking, "Ooh, maybe that's good. Maybe that's a spot for Caden Honeycutt to land where he doesn't take the 11 um, away from Corey Heim."
Yep.
Then, if I'm
That's
not mistaken, I believe the Truck Series broadcast actually said that Caden Honeycutt would be in that 11 next year,
yeah. I think
or
yeah. I
something to
say
that extent.
the pit reporter who interviewed Caden Honeycutt at the end of the truck race kind of spoiled that one. But
Yeah,
I will say there is one more ride that is available next year, and that is the fifth truck for Colleague Racing, and no driver has been announced just yet.
yeah. Corey Heim's not going to that.
Well, we don't know. We honestly don't know that. But I will say this. On it, obviously, there are not a lot of rides open for 2026 due to contracts and whatnot. And this is coming from the Door Bumper Clear guys from last week's episode when they had Jimmy Spencer on. Um, but going from 2026 to 2027 across all three series, they said, and I quote, there are approximately 37 seats opening up across trucks, Xfinity, and Cup going into 2027.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those are going to be drivers who are just on expiring contracts, but I think we expect to see a lot of them return to their current seats. Like, for example, Alex Bowman's contract, I believe, is up that year. And we all know that they're almost certainly going to extend Alex Bowman. I mean, again, that's obviously been the one that everybody's been piling on. It's like, oh, yep, there's the Hendrick driver to go and get replaced so that they can fit Kyle Busch or whoever else into their dream Hendrick lineup. But
Well,
obviously, I've said it multiple times. If you're going to replace Bowman, you have to tell me who's at least as good, if not outright better than Bowman right now. And that
well,
list is very short.
well, yeah, I was going to say one can only hope that Hendrick Motorsports will announce a contract extension for Alex Bowman because,
Yeah.
hello, Alex Bowman fan here. I don't want to see him leave the 48. But at the same time, it's a business, I understand. And if I had to guess, um, based on stuff that have seen online from pretty verified sources, if someone were to get the 48 going into 2027, it's a toss up between Carson Hocevar and Connor Zilic.
All right. That's an interesting duo. I mean, yeah, Carson Hocevar, obviously, big personality, and I think that would absolutely be a ride upgrade for him. I
Yeah,
just don't know if, when it comes to Zilic, I don't know if he leaves the team that has built him up at this point and that's taken him. That's really the only reason he's in the NASCAR ranks at all is because of Trackhouse Racing.
yeah. All right. Well, we are going to move on to our next championship race recap, and that would be Saturday's Xfinity Series race again at Phoenix International Raceway, and it was the final race for the Xfinity Series as a brand in NASCAR. They are leaving as a premier partner, which I am very sad to see because Xfinity has been a great partner with NASCAR. They've done a lot of promotion, a lot of activation at the tracks. Um, I was just at Talladega a couple weeks ago, and they had a whole big thing set up. My son did the burnout challenge with Tyler Reddick's car and ended up getting the highest score of the day. So I'm pretty proud about that. But for the Xfinity Series race recap, I'm going to hand it over to Jamie.
Alrighty. So the Xfinity Series race, it was a good race. A lot of back and forth action. It wasn't just one driver dominating the entire time. There was one big one that happened at the track. That happened on lap 115 with a wreck that included Brandon Jones, Ryan Sieg, Corey Day, Christian Eckes, Sammy Smith, Brendan Queen, Kyle Sieg, Harrison Burton, Parker Retzlaff, Ryan Ellis, Brendan Poole, Nick Leitz, Blaine Perkins, and Leland Honeyman. So that was a big one. They kind of had to go on a red flag for a little bit, get things figured out. And just as you think that everything is all said and done, all of a sudden, here comes the 2-car. Jesse Love in the final stage kicked it up a gear, and he found something. He was head and shoulders faster than all the front runners, faster than Allgaier, faster than Zilich, Almirola, and he kept back and ended up winning that championship. Now, what I will say is my trivia question will actually be coming from the Xfinity Series in the honor of its final race. So I will hold that off to the end. But Jesse Love is your Xfinity Cup Series champion. He had a .8 second lead over Eric Almirola, who had just 8 laps before the end past Connor Zilich. A lot of people thought that Connor Zilich had the advantage on the restarts, but he just didn't really have much to do with the overall balance of that number 2 car. It just rolled through the turns better and was able to get more acceleration. So I feel bad for Zilich, but Jesse Love was the definite winner that deserved to win that race.
Yeah, I agree. I will say this: our good friend Brandon sent me a text message right after the Xfinity Series race because I was kind of upset that Jesse Love won and Connor Zilich didn't because I'm a fan of Connor Zilich. I thought he was the deserving champion, but he made a quote or he made a statement that kind of pretty much sums up the weekend and this whole playoff format is don't hate the player, hate the game. Jesse Love, I took a few minutes to think about it. Jesse Love is a deserving champion. He took advantage of the format, one race, winner take all, and he was just better than everybody Saturday night. And congrats to Jesse Love and Richard Childress Racing. I believe he is the first RCR driver to win a championship since Tyler Reddick a few years ago. Someone quote me on that, please.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. I caught like the last, I want to say 45, 50 laps on TV. I listened to the majority of it on the radio because I was out and about on Saturday. But overall, it was a good race. And not to mention, you were talking about Ryan Sieg a minute ago, Jamie. Ryan Sieg actually was filling in for the suspended Sam Mayer. who was suspended after his post-race actions at Martinsville last week for intentionally wrecking Jeb Burton after the checkered flag. They put Ryan Sieg in the 41 and put his brother Kyle Sieg in the 39. And ironically, Kyle Sieg ended up finishing better than Ryan because Ryan was involved in a wreck where he basically caved in the back of his car.
Yeah, I haven't seen a car
Yeah, I
crunching
mean,
quite
also,
like that in a while.
and also earlier, both of them were involved in that same big one as well.
Yep. Yep. But I mean, overall, there was some outrage online. Obviously, because, Connor Zilic had 10 wins on the season. And everybody thought he was the deserving champion. But I will say this, and this came as a bit of a shock to me earlier today. Let me go back and find it real quick. It was about Connor Zilic and a upcoming IMSA race that he was supposed to do. Because he did not win the championship, he has been removed from that IMSA race because he did not acquire enough qualifications and points to acquire the license to drive that IMSA car.
I thought it was an F2 practice session he was supposed to be in.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was a Formula 2 practice session or something like that, and he didn't have enough super license points for the Formula car, for the Formula system.
It may have been, but I will find it real quick. Let me see here. Except, yeah, it says here Connor Zilic scratched from Bahrain rookie test entry after losing Xfinity Series title, but is a Rolex 24 ride in the cards.
Yeah, I was gonna say because lack of performance in NASCAR has almost never disqualified people from racing in IMSA, but obviously World Endurance Championship and the Formula One ladder system are all owned by the same company overseas, and that is and they run the super license formula, which you need to acquire enough points by having run in qualifying events.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys saw it online. Obviously, Connor was or not online, but like on TV. They put a camera on him as he was sitting next to his car. Post race, he was, obviously devastated and heartbroken. But again, don't hate the player, hate the game. And like I said before, when we started the recap, hopefully this is the last time we see the winner take all one race championship. But does anybody have any additional thoughts on Xfinity?
I've got one quick. Oh, sorry, go ahead, JP.
So yeah, I do feel bad for Connor Zilic, but I think it was last week. I said on last week's episode that we were going to talk about someone not being too happy that they didn't win the championship when they probably should have. And unfortunately, it was that 88 team.
Yeah, I actually predicted that the 88 was not going to win the championship last week.
Yep, and you also got to remember too, in the Final Four for the Xfinity playoffs, it was three on one. You had 3 Junior Motorsports cars versus 1 RCR car, and RCR stepped it up and beat the odds and won the championship.
Yep. But the thing I was going to mention is that, and this really was kind of a weird feeling throughout the entire weekend, but especially highlighted in the Xfinity Series and Cup Series races for me, which was the fact that it almost feels like the one race winner take all format has already was already scratched before we even got into this weekend. That it was, regardless of what the format was going to be, it was going to be something different for next year before we even knew the results. So really left a very weird feeling around all three championship races, where it's like, okay, even if, for example, if Connor Zilic gets absolutely robbed of what would be a deserving championship at this point, how do you be overly mad when the system's already essentially been decided that it's going to be different next year anyway, and that this will never, almost never happen again?
Right. And
So, I mean, and that's one of those things where I find it hard to get too mad about the result, because I know that it's already been decided that this is not going to ever happen again.
hopefully.
Yeah.
But the silver lining out of all of it, and this was wild to me too to read. Um, Connor Zilic did win the Rookie of the Year award, but had Carson Quapple finished ahead of Connor Zilic in the Xfinity Series race, Carson Quapple would have won Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
Without having a single win on the single year, and Connor Zilic having 10 wins.
Yep.
That is absolutely insane. But Jamie or Eli, you guys got any additional thoughts?
Sorry, I'm having trouble connecting.
Yeah.
You guys are able to hear me, right?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. The only thing that kind of stuck out to me was it's not like we could took the race to, oh, it was an like something unfortunate happened to one of the playoff drivers. This was one of the few races. I think this was I don't remember if all the drivers in the Truck Series made it unscathed, but this was the only race, to my knowledge, of the weekend where none of the championship 4 drivers got taken out in one way or another. So they all had equal opportunities to win the race. Allgaier led a bunch of laps. Zilic was insanely good on the restarts. Jesse Love just turned it on, and then why am I drawing a blank on the 4th driver?
Was it Carson Quapple?
Yeah, Carson Quapple. He was good. He just wasn't great.
Yeah, he was irrelevant all night when it comes to the championship conversation.
Right, but it wasn't due to like a tire going down or anything like that. He just was average at the track. Yeah. So, with that being said, I would probably say this Xfinity race, as far as for a championship is concerned, was probably the best race of the weekend due to that stance that all the drivers had no issues with the during the race, and the race was essentially in their control the entire time.
I would make the argument that I think the Truck Series race was also that, because you had Heim and Majeski were 1-2 in both stages, and in that 7 wide move, you had 3 of the 4 championship contenders, and the 18 of Ankrum was sitting right behind the 7 wide move watching it happen. So, and all of them did end up finishing top 15 in that one as well.
Yeah, but at the same time, Ankrum was also involved in that last caution too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and like I said, that's why they managed to get away scotch-free. No issues on track. It's just how did they car perform on that given day, and majority of them were running up front, and you have one that was just average. But at the end of the day, the best driver of the 4 did win this race.
The best driver on that day won the race.
Yes.
Yeah. Just figure we specify that because obviously the best driver of the year almost certainly is Connor Zilic.
Yes. But Eli, you got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just keep them brief. I think that you should hate the game, not the player of the game. Happy for RCR and him. I mean, they went out there and did what they had to on that day, and were in the right position. and that's all you can do. You follow the rules of this format, and that's what they did, and that's great for RCR. Just happy for him. Heartbroken for Zilich, obviously. Doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem fair. Of course, I tend to fall with the majority on switching playoff formats to something else. The only thing that I can outright, I guess, really say other than any of that that's not with the majority is, a lot of people on Twitter and stuff screaming that they hate RCR and they hate that two team right now. Well, they did nothing wrong, so that's all I have to say for that outright spoken response. And then the other one saying, well, the format's getting changed next year, so it doesn't matter. Well, no, this championship will have an asterisk beside his name, whether if he wants it to or not. It's not the correct winner. That's like saying, well, we let this guy get away with murder, but next trial, that's not going to happen. So I think you do need to hold NASCAR accountable to that still. You can't just say, well, it's getting changed next year. No. I think everybody that disagrees with this format needs to continue to hold NASCAR's feet to the fire on this, whether if they feel like they're beating a dead horse or not. Be vocal until you get change. Don't give up on something that so needs to happen. Other than that, I don't have anything else to say.
Well, I was going to add to that. So you're 100% right. RCR did absolutely nothing wrong. They were the best out of the championship four on Saturday, and you know they took advantage of the system and the format. And um, number two, uh, oh man, I just literally lost my train of thought. What was that second thing you said, Eli?
I said a lot of things. I said I was happy for RCR. That was the first one. Um, I said I was heartbroken for Zilich, and then I got into the main points of discussion on Twitter that I'm seeing. Everybody saying that they hate the two team and RCR, and then everybody saying that it does not matter because we're getting a new format next year, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Okay. So I remember what I was going to say. You were talking about the asterisk next to Jesse Love's name. And I've seen the exact same things that you've been seeing. And it's all the same people who said that Kyle Busch in 2015 was not a legitimate champion because he missed the first 11 races of the season. But yet he met all of the requirements that NASCAR put in front of him to make him championship eligible.
So,
Which, mind you, that back then that was actually more requirements than they have currently.
I'll say this on that. I wasn't a Kyle Busch fan in 2015. I was a Jeff Gordon fan in 2015, and I didn't switch. I didn't jump ship because he won the championship in 2015. He was always my second favorite driver. I loved his attitude, and more importantly, I loved M&M's at the time. But as far as having that asterisk and Kyle Busch fans, it's kind of a split decision, if you will. A majority of Kyle Busch fans say no, there shouldn't be an asterisk there. I tend to have following, or I guess adverse opinions on it. I think there does need to be an asterisk there beside of it, but not because the fact that he didn't run the amount of races that everybody else did. It's not the fact that he wasn't deserving of it. I want everybody to remember 2015, not for the races he missed, but the struggles he went through. So basically, the meaning on why he missed those races. I want that story to be there because there's not many people that can tell you that they broke both of their legs, or what was it, foot and a leg. It was something like that,
Yeah, it was both
and
legs.
came to win a championship. So I'm fine with the asterisk being there because I want people to remember that crash that February in Daytona. But I will say this, though, too, from another perspective on that. I know this is breaking topic just a little bit, and I'm trying to keep it brief. His 2019 championship to me means more than his 2015 championship, and not for any other reason other than the fact just to shut people up. That's really the only reason. Everybody said 15 didn't count. There was an asterisk, that whole argument that we were just talking about. 19, there's no asterisk beside of it. He won 5 races that season. He was very consistent all season. Yeah, I mean, we did have that dry spell there, but um, that championship to me, I think, means more than the 2015 championship in my eyes.
Isn't that also possibly a little bit factored in also because yeah, he became your number one favorite driver in that time frame between 15 and 19?
I don't think I can really answer that question fairly because, like you just said, I mean, he wasn't my favorite driver in 15. But, I mean, like I said, I mean, there's no way to really tell. I mean, you're just speculating on something
Yeah.
because, you know, you can't go back in time and make that decision.
Yep.
Uh, if I had to guess, I would still say no. I mean, I think 2019 was one of, I mean, I really wish we could have won it in 17, but 19
That was
was
a beautiful car
by
that year.
far, it was, and we had such a good season that year. No, I still think 2019 would mean more. I mean the consistency was just there. I mean everything just factored in was there. My heart breaks for Denny Hamlin too for that championship too, but you know, I don't know. 19 means a lot to me.
All right. JP wanted to say something.
Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick. I agree with Eli. I feel like 15 shows how the medical waiver works, but 19 is where he really showed his talent.
Well, I'll add on to that. So Eli said in 2019, Kyle Busch had won 5 races, but didn't he win like 4 or 5 races in 2015 as well? Because I know for a fact that he went on an absolute tear during the summer months. He won like 3 out of 5 races.
I mean, the one that sticks out in my mind is the fact that one of his very first races back, he wins Sonoma on two after having broken both legs.
Exactly.
A very physical road course of all things.
Yeah. Literally one of the most physically demanding tracks on the NASCAR Cup Series circuit. He goes out and just blisters the field.
He also won the Brickyard 400 that summer too. That was
Yep.
another race I remember because he got back-to-back Brickyards. Should have
Yep.
probably gotten 3 back-to-back, but then he and MTJ decided to stop being smart.
Well, speaking of the Cup Series, that is a great segue into Sunday's race at Phoenix International Raceway, the championship race, the penultimate or ultimate race of the entire weekend. And your Cup Series Final Four was Joe Gibbs Racing versus Hendrick Motorsports. You had Denny Hamlin and Chase Briscoe on one side, and you had William Byron and Kyle Larson on the other. Now, Goodyear brought a more aggressive, softer tire to Phoenix, and we all saw during the race there was a multitude of tire failures in the race. Um, every 30, 40 laps, someone was blowing a tire. And all 4 contenders were affected by this at some point during the race. The one that caught the biggest break was the 11 of Denny Hamlin when he felt his left rear going soft during a yellow flag. Now, granted, it did cost him positions on pit road because they couldn't jack up the car due to the flat tire, but it didn't affect the performance of his car versus Chase Briscoe or Kyle Larson or William Byron. Now, Denny Hamlin started on the pole for the Cup Series race and led 208 out of 312 laps in the race. And everybody thought, oh my God, this is it. This is the time that Denny Hamlin finally wins his first Cup Series championship. Until 3 laps to go, William Byron, who is running second at the time, blows a right front tire, goes up and pops the wall, forcing NASCAR. I don't know. I'm going to rant here for just a minute. NASCAR was very, very inconsistent on their yellow flags on Sunday because I saw cars hit the wall harder than that after blown tires and they didn't throw a caution. William Byron just barely popped the wall and they threw a yellow. And I guess NASCAR wanted their quote unquote game 7 moment. But anyways, it did bring out the yellow flag, which caused an overtime. And on the ensuing round of final pit stops, the top 3 stayed out, which was Brad Keselowski, Ryan Preece, and Alex Bowman. And then the next 6 drivers took 2 tires, which included Kyle Larson. And then behind them, everybody took 4 tires, which included Denny Hamlin. And Denny Hamlin restarted in the 11th position, while Kyle Larson restarted in the 6th position. And on the ensuing restart, Kyle Larson had what would many call the restart of his life, and took everybody 3-4 wide on the outside. And coming to the checkered flag, it was a last lap pass, not to be overshadowed. A last lap pass. Ryan Blaney did pass Brad Keselowski for the win. He won the race, but Kyle Larson ended up finishing 3rd or 4th or something like that. And third, and ended up winning the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series championship, while Denny Hamlin had another one slip away and lost the championship by 1 point and was absolutely heartbroken. So I would love to get your guys' thoughts on Sunday, starting with Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all feel bad for Denny Hamlin, but I will say the silver lining to this one versus obviously the Connor Zilic one that we talked about a minute ago is that I really felt like coming into the weekend that we really had the 4 best drivers in the Cup Series competing for the Cup Series championship. I mean, the only one you could maybe argue would be Bell, but then you're really splitting hairs as to which one of the 4 you would take out to put Bell in. So I really feel like we had our bet. I think we had the best 4 Cup drivers all year in the championship 4. Obviously, Denny Hamlin being so good on the day that obviously he established himself as a heavy favorite and probably should have won that race if not for the blown tire. But at least coming into the weekend, it wasn't like there was one clear favorite in the Cup Series championship fight. So that was kind of the biggest thing for me. Obviously you feel bad for Denny Hamlin, but I don't think it should take all that much away from what Kyle Larson was able to do. And obviously to the point about the yellow flag, I mean, yellow flags are kind of fickle, but they're always going to be faster on the button near the end of the race to try and force overtime. Whether you think that's the right decision or not, it is just a fact of how it is. They are almost always quicker on the button when you're in the closing laps of the race, and especially because they'd already seen multiple tires going down. Like I saw someone mention, I think it was Carson Hocevar, who was the 3rd driver in a row to lose a tire after Briscoe and Larson. And someone was like, why they just now decide to throw the caution? We've had 2 others do the same thing. And I said the same thing as I was watching it happen. My guess is that they assumed that seeing 3 drivers blow tires in quick succession, maybe they ran over something on the track and wanted to go ahead and look at it. So that was the explanation there. And obviously with the Byron one, they're almost always quicker on the button near the checkered flag.
Yep. And I will add on to that real quick. I've seen a lot of people blaming Goodyear on this, and I'm gonna go out and say this is exactly what we wanted. I'm gonna give, as far as the entire 2025 season goes, I'm gonna give Goodyear an A, because they did do what we wanted them to do and try it, and to at least bring tires that wore out and cause tire fall off throughout the entire season. The Door Bumper Clear guys earlier today, I was listening to their show, and Freddie Kraft works for 2311 Racing. He is a spotter, but he is also involved in the team and stuff like that. It wasn't Goodyear's fault on this. This was the teams. The teams were flirting and testing different air pressures and cambers and right rear springs or whatnot, and that's what was causing these tires to fail because they were trying to gain an advantage. They He said that Goodyear said for this past weekend for the Cup Series race, the recommended psi for the tires to start on a run on a cold tire was 50 psi. These teams were putting in 38 to 40 psi on these tires, so they were damn near flat tires when they started a run, and that's one of the reasons why they wore out so quickly.
Yep.
JP, Eli, Jamie, you guys got anything about Sunday?
Who wants to go where?
How about we start with you, Eli?
Yep.
So I could sit here and I could talk about the Denny Hamlin disappointment. I could talk about the inconsistency of NASCAR, but I don't want to beat a dead horse. I want to try to use the knowledge that I have in front of me and kind of steer this in a different way. So I have a lot of data sitting in front of me. I have notes from the 2024 Bristol Spring Race, talking to people in pit road, in media section. All of this is related to tires, and I have tried my best over the past few days actually to sit down, go back over it, analyze it, and reach out to a few other people to figure some things out. So that's kind of where I'm going to go with this. So I do apologize if I yap for a second. So let me see if I can switch over tabs on my computer. Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this goes back to the 2024 Food City 500. This goes back to last year when we saw that whole thing with tires go down. So we're sitting there watching qualifying, practice qualifying. It was one of those, and we're seeing insane fall off. We're seeing cording, things we have never seen. Well, I asked, what I don't have the person's name, but I do have his quote written down, and this is what was told to me regarding the tires. What fans are seeing isn't a failure, it's chemistry doing its job. These tires are blended to maximize early grip with a softer polymer mix. The compound bonds differently than the old harder formulas, which means they wear out faster under sustained load. There's no hidden setup, trick, or air pressure here. It's just the rubber itself and its chemical limit. It's a fine balance between entertainment, endurance, and right now the compound leans towards excitement. So what I got from that was, before a lot more comments were made from Goodyear, was this was intentionally done. This is what NASCAR wanted. Was a softer compound for fall off, right? And I think that's a good thing. Going back to what Greg said, was these tires are not meant to run under the sustained air pressures that teams are putting in these tires. But obviously, teams realize if they bump up this, lower this, do X, Y, and Z, they're going to achieve X, Y, and Z faster than what is the recommended thing from Goodyear. So, no, I don't think the correct answer is faulting Goodyear there. Um, Doing what kind of, chemistry experience I have, which is not a lot, so don't take my word for it. A lot of this goes down or boils down to a higher ratio of synthetic rubbers, resins, and plasticizers. And that makes the tire more flexible and grippy right out of the gate. Um, and the softer blend heats up quicker and sticks better to the track, right? That's what the softer tire does. But those same chemicals break down under extreme heat and friction. The polymers start to lose their bond, oils within the rubber, and they migrate to the surface, and tread literally starts just to shred away, which is the cording that we see. So I don't think, and this is something I'm a hypocrite of, I have thrown a fit forever saying, Goodyear, I want a tire that wears but doesn't cord. And really, I didn't, and there's stuff you can do, I'm sure, to kind of limit how much cording. I mean, you could probably make it a little bit harder, not much, and that would limit it. But the softer tire, I mean, this is the tire we want. It's just teams are going to push it to the max. That is what they're going to do. Um, so this is something that's fastened, like just blown me away since the 2024 Food City 500. I'm still looking to learn more. I have sent emails out to a few different people just trying to figure out more from the engineering side of things, but that is what the tire is made of, and that is what it does.
All right. Well, that was great insight. I honestly didn't know half of that, honestly. So you just taught me something new about the kind of tires that Goodyear brings. So thank you for that, Eli. Um, JP or Jamie, any thoughts on Sunday?
I think it's fitting that JP goes next.
All right.
All right. So, um, so I want to collaborate on what Eli was saying there. Um, you know, with the tire issues, um, I was surprised when everyone that skate out or took two tires made it. Yeah, giving that it's only like a couple laps to go, but you know we saw tire wear um all day long. So and like it only takes one opportunity for a tire to go kapelli and and you know and I just think um that I was expecting more teams to go down pillow and basically um maybe have all the pit crews have the headache, have the drama, have the never give up attitude. Um, you know, and also I feel for Black Keselowski. He is a champion and he hasn't won a race for a while. So secretly, and I was hopeful that he was going to win the race. But Ryan Blaney earned that race, and boy, Kyle Larson, and I'm sure we'll get to it later, almost won me the championship against you guys. That's all I gotta say for the year.
Yep. Yep. Kyle Larson is now a two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, which
I still find it insane he didn't lead a single lap en route to the championship in a winner take all finale.
And
yep.
he also didn't win a single playoff race.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, also, interesting stat too, and someone can quote me if I'm wrong. Kyle Larson is one of only three active drivers to have multiple championships.
Yeah, it's
That
Kyle
would be
Busch, it's
him.
Logano, and it's Larson.
Yeah, I would say him, Logano, and Bush.
At least if we're counting full time active, because Jimmy Johnson still exists.
Well, yeah, yeah. I'm just saying. No, I'm saying active drivers right now, full time. I know
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson runs a part time schedule.
Yeah.
Jamie, what about you, bud?
Um, I mean, not really a lot different that I could really talk on based off of what Ryan, Eli, and Justin have all talked on. I will talk about the decision made to go with the 4-tire stop as opposed to the 2-tire for Denny Hamlin. You are leading that race. You have by far the most dominant car. Now, I wasn't listening to the in-car radio of the 11 team, so I don't know the ins and outs of what caused the decision, but I I just question, like, obviously you have the best car. You know that you have the best chance to get that elusive championship, and you go and make a decision to put the best driver on the track in a spot that is almost impossible to succeed because you want to put 4 fresh tires when you know that your biggest threat behind you was going to be putting 2 to try and get up to you. And with these cars and what we've been talking about all season long, where the dirty air and not being able to pass and all those things, your job is to put your driver in the best possible position to win a championship. And I think he failed Denny Hamlin. Go ahead, Ron. You have your hand up.
Yeah. I would argue that Toyota literally did the exact same thing with another dominant driver in the truck race, putting Corey Heim on 4 fresh tires, and he was able to go ahead and drive that one from 10th to 1st. So,
but respectfully, as the voice of reason, they're not going up against Kyle freaking Larson.
Well, yeah, but again, it's the double-edged sword there, because if you put on 2 tires, everybody behind you is going to put on 4 tires and absolutely eat you alive on fresh tires. And if you go with 4 tires, there's going to be a lot of people who will call the audible and go with 2 to try and beat you off pit road. It is a double-edged sword. I mean, think back to
it can be a double-edged sword, but at that given point, everybody was already coming down pit road. Nobody stayed out that in this scenario that we watched. They were already committing to going down pit road.
What was going to be 4 tires to 2 tires.
I don't know. I think he did Denny Hamlin a disservice, and that's what screwed him out of the championship.
Ryan hit the nail on the head right there, because Freddie Kraft said the exact same thing on Door Bumper Clear today, that Denny Hamlin's team saw what Corey Heim was able to do in the Truck Series race Friday night and thought maybe they might be able to replicate the same thing. Now, granted, they weren't counting on 3 drivers staying out on old tires, but he thought that maybe Denny might be able to pull off a move where he could get past Kyle Larson. But if you guys watch the restart, Hamlin actually got boxed in by Joey Logano coming through turns 1 and 2, which effectively pretty much killed his run.
Yep.
And Ryan, you said another point, 2 tires versus 4 tires, you're going to get eaten alive. How about no tires versus 2 tires and 4 tires? Alex Bowman restarted the race in 3rd on the green, white checkered and finished 15th. He dropped 12 spots in a lap and a half by not pitting. And I'm going to give my thoughts real quick. Congrats to Kyle Larson. Again, don't hate the player, hate the game. His crew made the right call, and not to mention that he was a lap down at one point because of the tire issues. He pitted under green due to a flat tire, went a lap down, and ended up getting his lap back and battled his way back through the field, and his crew made a great call. And congrats to Larson on that. I'm happy for Hendrick Motorsports winning another championship. But as a lifelong Denny Hamlin hater, you guys saw it in the chat on Sunday afternoon. I was legitimately pissed off that Denny Hamlin did not win the championship, because in my opinion, I thought Denny was the most deserving out of the 4 contenders. He had the most wins of the season. He was either first or second in most laps led through the entire season. And again, it falls back on the format. the one race winner take all championship. And I've been vocal about it on here before. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And I'm glad that it is changing in 2026. But I cannot believe myself that I was upset that Denny Hamlin lost out on a championship because he was literally 2.5 laps away. And I think it's more sentimental than anything because of what's going on with his father.
Yep.
He said that his father, this was his father's maybe last legitimate chance to see him win a championship.
Yep.
And they put the in-car camera on him post-race, and he looked like he was about to have an absolute breakdown inside the car. And I felt so bad for him. And I don't know if you guys, I did post it in the group chat earlier today. He did sign a contract extension with Joe Gibbs Racing through the 2027 season, but he said today during media before the NASCAR awards banquet that he does not know if he is coming back in 2026. He might pull a Carl Edwards and step away from the sport completely and opt out of his contract, which honestly, I would not blame him one bit.
I'm wondering if some of that might be pending what NASCAR decides to do with the championship format, because if they leave it the same, I'd be hanging it up if after what he just went through, if they opt not to change the format.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure they are because it's been reported that there is some sort of change coming.
Yeah, and that's what I've been saying, where it's like, yeah, we entered the weekend already basically knowing that there is a change coming. Not necessarily knowing which change, but we know there is one coming.
Yep. So before we transition to our next segment, I would like to bring something up. I found my handy dandy notebook. And right as the playoffs were starting, everybody who was on that one particular episode of the Lap Down, I had you guys name me your final 4 championship drivers for the Cup Series.
Oh, we don't have to go through that, do we?
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do.
No.
Can we just
yes,
forget,
we do.
Can we just forget mine?
All right, hold on. All right, so we're going to start with Jamie. Jamie had William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, and Bubba Wallace as his final 4.
Woo-hoo.
He only had one correct pick for the final 4.
And that's our voice of reason?
Yes.
Hey, y'all the reason that bestowed that on me.
Our friend JP had probably one of the most bold predictions ever for the final 4. He had Chase Elliott, Shane Van Gisbergen, Denny Hamlin, and Joey Logano, which means JP also only had one correct pick for the final 4. Myself, I had Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, and Joey Logano. I had 2 correct picks for the final 4. I had the 2 JGR drivers. Ryan had Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, and William Byron. So you had 2 correct picks. But our good friend Tyler, he had Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Kyle Larson, and Denny Hamlin. He had 3 out of the 4 correct picks for the championship 4.
Yep.
And had Blaney made it after Martinsville, he would have been 4 for 4 on his picks. That is an absolute insane stat for us when we started the playoffs for him to pick 75% of the championship 4 correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us were kind of blinded by Penske's previous run, and obviously Penske getting shut out of the championship 4 was the thing that stumbled, I think, all of us. Wow.
Yeah.
Penske missing the championship 4 didn't help JP's SVG pick, but I think the majority of the rest of us were pretty close if you just ignore the fact that none of us expected Penske to completely miss the championship 4, because I think that was pretty close to unthinkable with how good they've been at both Vegas and at honestly all 3 races in that round: Vegas, Talladega, and Blaney at Martinsville.
Yep.
I mean,
All right.
And also at that time, Christopher Bell was probably one of the most consistent drivers going into the playoffs.
yep. That's
Christopher
why
Bell.
he was my championship 4. He was my champion pick at that point, and he was my
Cr-
championship pick at the very beginning of the year too.
Quoted from the guys at Door Bumper Clear today, Christopher Bell. You actually got onto something there, Jamie. Christopher Bell was the most consistent driver in the playoffs. He had the best average finish out of everyone in the playoffs with a 7th place finish at the end of the season.
Yep.
All right, now.
And he consistently did enough to where my dad, whom I got to meet, went from rooting for Dale Earnhardt to Dale Jr. to Martin Truex Jr. to now Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell becomes the first young driver that my dad's ever rooted for.
All right. So, again, before we transition next, I have all 5 of our names on the show written down. It is the last official podcast of 2025. Starting with our bold prediction specialist, JP. Who is your way too early 2026 Cup Series champion?
Okay. All right. Here we go. It's Mr. Well, he has to come back. So hopefully he does come back. Mr. Diggy Hamlin.
All right.
Okay. All right. And our expert on almost everything, Ryan.
Well, again, I think Christopher Bell's been making steps towards it. He was my pick at the start of last year. I think he made a lot of strides, and if he can just nail down this whole thing called winning races at the very end of the year and not getting outpointed by Kyle Larson, I think he can make the championship 4. And if he can get there at Homestead, I think he's one of those few drivers that can really rival Kyle Larson at Homestead. So I will go ahead and I'll take Christopher Bell. Although we're making these predictions, we don't know what the championship 4 format is going to look like. Well, it's not going to be a championship 4. But I'll take consistency. I'll take Mr. Consistency, Christopher Bell.
Well, we don't know if it's going to be a championship 4. It might be. It might be the 3-3-4 format next year.
Please, no. No, please, no.
All right. And so I haven't given a nickname to this gentleman yet, but the betting man, Eli, who is your way too
in there a minute ago.
What is your way too early champion?
It would have to be a Hendrick guy, unfortunately. I mean, as much as I love Bushy McBush, I just don't see it. I mean, I'm hoping that it's, full season points, or we get a 10-round chase, or, something along the lines of that. 3-3-4 just don't sound right. It sounds like some code for something. I don't like it.
Yeah, so it's a 3-race round, a 3-race round, and then a final 4-race round, which, based on my math, that would actually be that would be a championship 8. Unless they were to shrink it down to a 12 driver championship. Then you go 12, 8, 4 would be the only way to get that down to 4, unless you're cutting the field in half at some point.
You'd be crazy not to take Kyle Larson.
Yep.
All right. So Eli thinks Larson will be a 3-time champion in 2026. All right. On to the voice of reason, Jamie.
This year was just a little blip. And unfortunately, I think Penske is going to be coming roaring back into the next year. And I see Ryan Blaney reclaiming his championship.
All right. All right. My pick.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say, something you remember, though, is that next year's championship, no matter the format, isn't going to be ending with the same amount of short flat ovals, which has been one of the few things Penske's been able to figure out. And especially if it's a 10-race chase or by some miracle it's a full 36 race points format, consistency has not been Penske's game. It's been winning when it matters. Now maybe they are able to turn it all around in one off season, but
Yep.
yeah.
So I
I
mean,
love how Ryan's trying to debate me on things we don't know yet.
well, I get what he's saying. So I mean, obviously, if you have
yeah.
full season points, it's based on consistency throughout the year. If you have the 10 race chase, it's like it was in, the mid to late 2000s and early 2010s. But if you have the 3-3-4, the 4 race final round consists of a super speedway, a half mile oval, a 1 mile a 1 mile D-shaped dog oval in Phoenix, and then a intermediate in Homestead.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
But my way too early championship pick is a little off the walls. I think this driver is going to start his redemption arc in 2026 and put his team back on the map. My 2026 championship pick is Kyle Busch.
Whoa!
Behold.
Hold on. Was that Greg saying that? Or was that JP?
Okay.
No rebuttals, JP. No rebuttals.
JP's about to have a stroke.
And I'm not lying. I wrote it down right there.
Yep.
Is Greg okay? Is this a call for help?
No, I honestly think with the new crew chief coming in and all that, I think Kyle Busch is going to get back on track next year. He ended the season with a top 5, which is the best we've seen him in recent weeks, and I think he carries that momentum through the winter and into 2026.
I'm just going to be happy to get a race win. I mean, okay.
Hold the phone. I know.
Holding the phone.
That
JP's frozen.
Championship. But JP has one more position for the year, and that is Mr. Kyle Busch himself. Kyle Busch will win 6 races because of the new cookie. 6 races next season, and put Wizard Coast Racing back on the map.
Hey, JP, how many Daytona 500s has Kyle Busch won?
Go.
So JP, you have Kyle Busch winning 6 races, yet not getting the championship. When it, by almost every metric, it sounds like we're getting a championship format that values that kind of consistency. Where, if you go ahead and rock it out to a good start like that, it's going to be really tough to lose a championship.
Yep. You just had to outdo me, didn't you, JP? Well, I thought I was going to make the bold prediction, and JP was like, nope, watch this.
Well, Greg, when you were saying putting a team back on the map, I thought you might be talking about 2311, which is another thing we have almost no idea how that's going to look come Daytona in February either, as the lawsuit is still pending.
Yep. That is very much true. And that's why I said at the beginning of the show, we might do a couple bonus episodes during December, depending on the outcome. But we are going to finally transition into our next segment. It is time for our green flags and black flags. And for our listeners, green flags is something that you liked during the race weekend, and black flags is something that you did not like, but we are going to change it up. This time, green flags it's going to be for the entire 2025 season. So green flags is something or some things, you can have more than one, that you liked for the entire season, and black flags is something you didn't like for the entire season. And we will kick it off with our expert on almost everything, Ryan.
All right. So as I typically like to do, I'm going to start off with the positive because I think I mean, there's so many negatives you can take shots at. But for positives, I'm going to go ahead and give it to the fun stat that we've been talking about the last couple of episodes, in the fact that we made it through a full NASCAR Cup, Truck, and Xfinity Series season without a single race postponed due to rain. We made it through the entire time for the first time since 1994. We made it through the entire NASCAR Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series season. 0 rainouts.
Chat, can we get a hallelujah?
Hallelujah.
Yep. Of course, that would have been hilarious if Phoenix had been the one track to end that streak, considering it's literally a desert. And then for the black flag, I'll go ahead and I'll give it to a different part of this championship format, one that we haven't really picked apart, but one that still definitely needs to go if they're making major changes to the championship format. And that is the win and you're in system. Because a lot of people are talking about the one race championship this week. And I'm not saying that that doesn't need to go, but the win and you're in also needs to go, because like the fact that we see a guy win the Daytona 500 and the conversation is immediately, oh, well, he's in the playoffs now. That
Finally,
like
someone's on my side.
Of course, I feel like the Trackhouse will be pretty upset with that, since they brought in SVG specifically to win and in and get top 16 points finishes off of the road course wins. Although he's kind of consistent at the ovals.
He'll be okay. He'll survive.
Everybody knows how vocal I've been on the win and you're in system for the last 2 years.
Yep.
That is one of the things that I absolutely despise. All right, but we are going to go to our bold prediction specialist, JP. What do you have for your 2025 green flags and black flags?
All right. So, let's hold up that black flag. Because the bold prediction specialist has a lot to say about the black flag, but I'll make it short and sweet. NASCAR needs to get rid of the win and you're in format, because, I know I said SPG was going to win the championship, but I said at the beginning of the playoffs, he improved, but not really good enough to win the championship once it got going. Now, for my all-important green flag. So, my first green flag has to do with Denny Hamlin. There's a lot of people that said Denny Hamlin should have won the championship, should have done this, should have done that. But in all actuality, Denny Hamlin has to be one of the most talented drivers and so got talent throughout the year. But I believe, someone correct me, 5 wins of... Okay. Yeah, 6 wins and then win the championship. But we have picked up a bag and basically, you know, and for my final green flag of the year, and I have one more black flag, Ryan. So, the green flag has to do with the the weather, like you said, Ryan. You know, I went to so many races this year. I went to Kansas and Iowa and Oka. The the weather for all of the events I was at gorgeous. And that just makes it for a fun time as a fan. Now for my final black flag for the year. So my final black flag for the year has to do with the tire scenario that we had to endure this weekend. Yeah, Goodyear does a good job most of the time, and I know they'll kind of push the issue, but do we want them to push the issue so much that they have what we had at India a couple years ago? Competition cautions.
At Indianapolis, you mean, JP, not India.
I said Indianapolis.
It very much sounded like India.
Do you a couple of years ago? You mean 2008, 17 years ago?
Yeah, almost 2 decades ago.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, point taken. Do we want to get back to that time frame?
Xfinity Series driver Connor Zillich was 2 years old at that point.
Yeah. So that will do it for my black flag and green flag for the year.
All right, and we will go to the betting man, Eli.
The better.
So, been sitting here thinking about it for the 15 minutes I've had, and I mean, there's a lot of options and routes and avenues I can go down, but um, I guess for my black flag, would just be NASCAR's consistency on times of calls and decision making. Obviously we scream at them every year to do better, but and I guess I'm joining that party. But there's a lot of things that they can improve on, and I think that they will try to improve on. I know that there's a lot of administrative changes made this year going into next year, so I guess that would be my black flag. A green flag would be, I guess, just from my perspective, all the events I have been present at, helped work, any anything I've done at the track in person, just NASCAR's ability and decision making to help us feel safe at the track and providing us the resources that we need to carry out our positions and duties at the track. That's been a huge thank you to them. There's not been a time this year that I can think of where we've had a question or an issue or a problem come up and we've reached out to someone within this organization and they've just outright decided not to help us. Their timing on it has been just about as good as their caution happy trigger finger. So, which is good. So we'll take that when we can get it. So there's that.
All right, we will go to the voice of reason, Jamie.
Well, there's a lot said there. Um, JP didn't really leave me much things to complain about. But uh, one thing that I really did like about this season, which I I had a very strong opinion on it when it first started happening, was the in season tournament. I definitely enjoyed the in season tournament uh, more than I thought I was going to. It forced me to pay attention to Ty Gibbs, or not Ty Gibbs, Ty Dillon. It forced me to pay attention to Ty Dillon when I was at Dover and see where's he on the track as opposed to um, the people he was racing against. I think it was a good format for exposure to drivers and Cinderella stories and all those things that you love having in sports. And I think it definitely intrigued me enough to where I think that that is something that they should continue doing. And you guys can go back on past episodes. After that Atlanta race, I thought the in-season tournament was stupid because they started it off with uh, a restrictor plate track that killed off a lot of the favorites. But as it progressed, and we saw moves from Bubba Wallace, we saw moves from Alex Bowman, all these guys who made the in-season tournament more exciting because it was something they cared about. That was something that has been missing for NASCAR for a while because you could bet that the summer races viewership was going to drop as other sports started to ramp back up. And it's in my opinion, it was just a really big success, and I really enjoyed it. Um, Black Flag, shoo, where to go? We could talk about the type of car and the fact that they can't pass in dirty air. Um, the lack of horsepower. Um, I think I'm not going to go on a tangent on those. I think that's just where I'm going to go on it with the current car and the lack of passing for the majority of the racetracks. Kudos to them fixing, or at least making it seem like they fixed the restrictor plate tracks. Uh, August Daytona was probably the absolute best restrictor plate race that I've seen in a while, and I was just happened to be lucky enough to see it live. Um, so that gives me hope that next season, hopefully, there's less things to complain about.
All right. Well, you took one of my green flags, but I'll go ahead and reiterate it. The super speedways. It seemed like the last two super speedway races of the year, Daytona and Talladega, it seemed like the drivers were able to figure out how to go 2, 3, 4 wide without saving fuel. I don't know if it was something they did to the package or the cars or the setup or whatnot, but it was really fun to see. Obviously, I watched Daytona on TV, and I was there at Talladega a few weeks ago, and like the last 20 laps of the race, you can ask my wife, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I was jumping up every time someone made a move. I'm like, where did this guy come from? And whatnot. My other green flag goes to Amazon Prime and TNT. Those broadcast crews, granted, they were mostly the same, did an outstanding job on their broadcast and how they presented the races during the summer months, especially with Dale Jr. being in the booth. And then you had, Lord, I can't
Carl
remember.
Edwards.
Yeah, Carl Edwards on the pre-race and post-race, and Corey LaJoy, and like they did a phenomenal job. And not to mention, like Jamie said, the in-season tournament that was very entertaining. I was kind of on the fence about it at the start, and then it just got really good because like Jamie said, Ty Dillon almost pulled the Cinderella story um, of the year. Just kudos to Amazon Prime and TNT, and I can't wait for 2026. My black flag for the year has to go to. Unfortunately, it's got to go to Fox, especially the Truck Series booth, because I'm sorry, but they are just absolutely atrocious at broadcasting the Truck Series races, especially Jamie Little. Like, I love Jamie Little. She's a great pit reporter, but she is not good for the booth and doing play by play. Like, there's just, and I mean, I guess you could say the same goes for the main Fox booth with Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Boyer, especially Clint Boyer. And like I said earlier in the season with the Daytona 500, Mike Joy is the play-by-play. He is supposed to call William Byron to the line to win the Daytona 500, and Clint Boyer did not know when to shut his mouth and kept talking over Mike Joy. And that
Isn't that just kind of Clint Boyer's thing?
Yes,
but
that would
shut his mouth.
right, and that was just one thing that stuck out to me all season. So I guess you could say my green flags and black flags both go to their respective TV series booths and commentators. But I'm excited for 2026. I'm sad that the NASCAR season is over. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself for the next 3 months with no racing. But this is the point of the show where we normally transition into race picks, but race picks is over because we do not have an upcoming race. But I want to say congratulations to the expert on almost everything, Ryan Dyer. He completed his redemption comeback. He finished almost dead last in 2024 in race picks and came back to win race picks 2025. And he will be the recipient of the $100 Amazon gift card that I promised at the beginning of the season. So, Ryan, as soon as I get that gift card, I will get with you, get your address, and get it mailed to you.
Okay.
So, with that being said, we are going to transition into our final segment of the evening. And granted, it's not for points or anything, but we cannot close out the 2025 season without a little bit of Jamie's trivia. So, Jamie, what do you have for us tonight?
Series. My question tonight is how many drivers in a single season for the Xfinity Series has led over 1,000 laps?
All right, and this is all time, right?
Wait,
This
what was
is
the question?
just in a single season.
Okay.
So like, I guess, let me rephrase. What's the most amount of drivers in a single season that has led over 1,000 laps in that same season?
All right, and you said this is just for Xfinity, right?
Correct, just for the Xfinity Series.
Okay.
All right. So we will kick off the guesses with Eli.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So led over more than 1,000 laps in a single season.
Yep.
Justin
Number of
Allgaier.
drivers.
Oh wait, number of drivers? Oh,
Yeah, number of drivers
Yep,
in a
number of
singular
drivers in a
season.
single season.
the God. So is this just under like the Xfinity series name, or does this like date back to it like just the like
Back
I
when
guess
it
Just
the
was
under
lower?
the Xfinity Series name.
Okay.
So from
I want to say it's over 15, leaning close to 20. Like I'm trying to think back and go,
No, I'm just saying in one season.
yeah, you don't have 15
The-
driven from.
oh, Okay, wait. Wait. This whole question's can like fuzzle in me here. I'm
Okay.
all
Within the time span that it was branded the NASCAR Xfinity Series, what was the most amount of drivers to lead 1,000 laps in a singular season?
I don't know. Come back to me. I'm so lost.
Let me simplify it for you. So let's say the correct year was 2019,
Okay.
and how many drivers in that season led over 1,000 laps?
Okay. Um, 5. I don't know.
All right, JP.
All right. I'm going to go bold, really bold, and I'm going to say 1. Ugo.
I don't think
Okay.
that's overly bold, but
All right, Ryan.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'll just I was originally thinking 3 if we were gonna include all of the time of the kind of secondary series, but if we're talking just the Xfinity series, I'm gonna go ahead and say 2. We haven't seen a whole lot of domination from full-time drivers because I'm assuming that there weren't any part-time Cup Series drivers who were able to jump in there and lead that many. Not to mention Xfinity races having less laps overall than Cup, also leading to less laps led overall.
All right. Well, I mean, everybody's picked 1, 2, and 5, so I'll say 4.
One of you got it right. And I am shocked in the most not so shocked way. It's the man who knows everything, Ryan. Now, pop quiz, Mr. Knows just about everything. And do you know what year that was?
No, I have absolutely no idea.
Okay. Because that would actually be this year. In its
Okay.
final season,
It's like not
Connor
overly
Zilich and
surprising.
Justin Allgaier.
Yep.
Yep, Connor Zilich and Justin Allgaier both led over 1,000 laps in this season, marking it the first season in the Xfinity Series history where 2 drivers led over 1,000 laps in the same season.
Yeah, it was torn between that or maybe one of the years of the big 3 in the Xfinity series when we had Custer, Reddick, and Bell tearing it up. But I guess the 3 of them split it so evenly that none of them probably got to the 1,000 lap mark.
Yep.
All right. Well, congratulations, Ryan. Your prize is a $100 Amazon gift card. No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
But that is going to close our show out for tonight and for the 2025 season. Again, we may do a
Greg,
couple.
Greg,
Yes.
are we not going to talk about the potential aspect of Dover having lights?
We will. So we will cover that in December on one of our bonus episodes.
Oh man, you're making me wait.
Yes, I'm building up
right.
anticipation. But this was the last main episode of the 2025 season. As I stated before, we may do a couple of bonus episodes in December, probably before Christmas, to talk about the lawsuit trial and all that good stuff. But as I stated at the beginning of the show, we here at the Lap Down have a big announcement. And so, drum roll, please. In 2026, the Lap Down is going racing. Thanks to our good friends and partners over at the Alkali Project, the Lap Down podcast will be a sponsor on a car on the newly named O'Reilly Auto Parts Series at United Rentals 300 at Daytona. And I have to give a special thank you to someone. I will not name who right now. As more information becomes available, we will share it with you, the listeners. But just know that in 2026 in February, our logo will be on a race car, and we couldn't be more than happy and proud to have our brand out there. And we just want to say thank you to all of our listeners and supporters. But with
Yes,
that,
thank you guys.
yes, with that, that is going to close our show out for the night and for the season. As always, a huge thank you to all of our sponsors and affiliates: the Alkali Project, Sleeves, Century PC, Fubo TV, Smackin' Sunflower Seeds, not Bulletproof Coffee, Dr. Squatch, and Circle B Diecasts. As always, go to circlebdiecast.com, promo code LAPDOWN for $5 off at checkout. But until next time, I am your host, Greg Farmer, and for the expert on almost everything, Ryan Dyer, the bold prediction specialist, JP, the betting man, Eli, and the voice of reason, Jamie. This has been the Lap Down, and we will see you guys sometime in December, but most likely in February for Daytona and the Clash at Bowman Gray. Everybody have a great holiday season. Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas. We will see you guys soon.